There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another Friday Reads, and this is my first Friday Reads that I filmed since Kenji and I have both started working at home. Kenji is working at home. I'm not sure how it's going to all shake out, but maybe half-time, which I think is just ridiculous that anybody would expect their employees to take public transportation on those crowded trains. I mean, it's dangerous. If it's dangerous 100% of the time, it's not 50% less dangerous if you're still doing it. Japan is... I hate Japan. I hate Japan. I can't wait to get out of here, and maybe I will never be able to get out of here because I will... Never mind, I won't finish that thought, but... the government here, it's war crimes being committed against its own people by their ignorance. So Prime Minister Abe announced a state of emergency on, I don't know, Tuesday. And since then, the federal government has been backtracking. So now his economic revitalization minister or something sent out a tweet or did a press release the next day and said, please don't force any businesses to close for at least 2 weeks. And it's a month-long state of emergency because we don't want to damage the economy. If I hear one more thing from any leader in any country, because it's not only Japan, but Japan's one of the very worst, who the fuck cares about the economy right now? Oh, it's just making me mental. So, I'm working at home 99% of the time. We can't get... I don't think masks do much. I think the science is very unclear. You can find 50% of the scientific studies that say they're harmful because they give you a false sense of security, or you're always touching the mask. You wouldn't believe how many Japanese people I see, including the Prime Minister, who wears the mask and then pulls it down here and then pulls it back up. People are so stupid, and masks, I think, just increase the layers of stupidity. But there's been a bit of a drink the Kool-Aid thing across the West, and I am not drinking the Kool-Aid, but I am an agnostic praying on his deathbed. So you can't buy the masks that everybody wears, the disposable ones. They've been sold out everywhere that I've tried, or Kenji has tried, for about a month. So anybody you see on the street that's wearing a mask is reusing a disposable mask, which just adds to the dangerousness, and it just makes it worse. But I did buy a cloth mask, a series of fabulous colored cloth masks. So when I go out, I'm wearing this bandana style cloth mask, and I have them in a set of fabulous colors. And my neon green one is in the laundry right now, so I have 6. I think they protect people from your spit. Your moistness is... What did Prime Minister Trudeau say the other day? Moist. People are talking moistly. But I don't think they do much. So I think my biggest concern about masks is that most people are so stupid that they will just have a false sense of security and wear masks and go, to a rave or something. So no, I think that it was better when the West was saying only healthcare workers should wear masks, because I just think it's going to be a net negative in terms of the epidemiology of this pandemic, of this virus. But that's just me. I mean, I'm wearing them now, but I don't think they work. I think because people are stupid, it's going to be a net negative. Anyway, enough about masks. A group of medical students in Kyoto, in their final year of medical school, just 2 days before the state of emergency was declared, went out to a izakaya together and had parties, and now half of them have tested positive. I mean, that's happening in every country, but when the political leadership in your country is daft, then more of that happens, because people do, especially in Japan, but I think Canada's doing a pretty good job, because the political leadership across the political spectrum, provincially, federally, has been really of one voice. There are exceptions to that, but that has helped bend the curve. The curve here, there's not even a curve to bend. It's just going up, 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 up. So, like I say, a crime against humanity. I have a student in one of my classes, and it's now an online class, and she's a beautiful young 30-year-old woman, and I said, so how was your weekend? And I was expecting her to say, oh, I just stayed home alone like everybody else, but she said, oh, it was good. One of my friends came over, and we cooked dinner together and hung out, and I said, you know that you're not supposed to do that. She goes, what do you mean? I said, because... So that's where things are at, and it's making me mental. Aside from all that, and that's the most important thing, I have been able to carve out space in many of my days where I could read, and have been able to, again, like I said last week, it's not like my absorption is back to normal, but my concentration, I'm able to concentrate, and, I read 10 pages of one book, put it down, pick up the next book, and I've been able to cycle through and finish, this week, 3 books. I have finished my first stinker in Barbara Pym's oeuvre, An Academic Question, published in about 1986, and I did a rant review on how terrible this was, and what a crime against Barbara Pym it was for her literary executor to publish this after Barbara Pym died, because Pym did not want it published. It should not have been published. You can hear the rest of it. I put that review up. I finished the book, did the rant, edited, put it up, all within the space of about 5 hours, because I was just fit to be died, besmirching her reputation by publishing crap that she didn't want published. On a happier note, I also finished a short German novella that was a spontaneous addition to my Read More German Books 2020 reading challenge that Mel and Britta are doing. There'll be a link in the show notes to my TBR video and all that. The Mussel Feast by Birgit van der Beek, translated by Jamie Bullock, and I enjoyed it a lot. It is... Am I going to do a review of it or not? I think I might. It's actually difficult now to find time for filming, because, with the husband at home that's working during the day, and it's not as easy as it once was, and I can't quite justify, even though the weather is nice enough for me to go out, I can't really justify going out to film a video in this era of coronavirus. It's not like I'm putting myself at risk, but it doesn't really send a good message. It's not an essential reason to leave the house, so... And the police are targeting foreigners, actually. They're asking to see your ID and what are you doing out and stuff. So, no, I won't be filming al fresco probably for the rest of this decade. I think I'm going to do a review, but it was about a really screwed up family, and I loved the way it kind of flowed from a family making their father's favorite meal, mussels, as he came home with news about whether or not he got a job promotion. And so it starts out in a really cozy way, and I hate the fact that that word is slipped into my vocabulary, but, making mussels, peeling them and stuff, and then it gets darker and darker, and it was really quite good. I didn't love it, but I really liked it. I recommend it very highly, and I will be doing a review in due course. Less successful was the collection of essays by Doris Lessing, Prisons We Choose to Live Inside. I didn't like it. I haven't read her fiction, but is her fiction really sociological? Because these essays were her telling us about sociological study after sociological study. And many of those studies I had studied in first-year sociology back in the day. They didn't seem groundbreaking, and when was this published? I think it was published maybe in the early 1980s or something. So that's fine. Maybe it's dated, but... And it was all about politics and society and social control. I didn't disagree with much of what she said, but she kept telling us in the essay in a really conversational style, which I thought kind of dumbed it down, but I appreciated that it was very accessible for any reader. But she kept saying, what kind of a society do you think we would have if everybody was taught this information at a young age? That struck me as really naive, like, that's not how you solve issues of social control and political oppression that people study sociology. Like, no, it's not. They didn't change my perspective on anything, and in fact, I can't remember 90% of what I read. So that happened. But is her fiction very sociological? Because I was surprised that she was putting so much credence in the insights from sociology. I mean, there's some insights there, but nothing that's going to change the world if people study it in kindergarten. So those are what I finished. I don't think I bailed on anything, did I? Nope, I haven't bailed on anything since March 12th. It's been almost a month. What the hell? Coronavirus doing some mind control on me? God. I have a couple, probably. I mean, the India book, I just haven't taken the time to sit down and decide, am I going to bail on this or not? I do have a folder in my Goodreads for books that are on hold. I might stash it there and forget about it for a few months or years. I did put a call out the last time I mentioned this to ask anybody who can recommend an accessible, shorter, like 300 pages or less, preferably 200 pages or less, survey history of India that's reader-friendly, like not academic. Because that's more what I need at this stage. Like, I've read a lot of Indian literature, but I don't know much about anything, certainly pre-post-colonial, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't know much about India's history. And I'd like to know, and this other book by John Kay, it's just too much. It's like 500 pages or maybe more, and I was interested in it, but it was just a little bit too overwhelming. I think I need to start with something that's more of a survey that I can just read in a month or two, and then maybe graduate to something more all-encompassing like that one. So, I'm still waiting, people. I'm waiting for your bibliographic input. I have started a bunch. Let's see. I think I've started 3. I am disorganized today, but I have only a small window of filming time, so I kind of gave up on getting very organized. Not even as organized as usual, because I have a short window of when I can film here. I started the collection of short stories by Edna O'Brien of Fanatic Heart. And this is a buddy read with Sonia of An Enthusiastic Reader, and we have read and discussed the first story. We're doing a story a week, which is a lovely pace to do a buddy read of short stories. I'm doing a similar, the same pace with another buddy read of short stories with Britta, as I mentioned before. So The Connor Girls. I thought it was an excellent story. Sonia loved it. I liked it. And that made for a fascinating discussion. I'm looking forward to reading the second story in the collection this weekend. For several months now, cousin of Always Doing, Mel of Mel's Bookland Adventures, and I have planned a buddy read of a romance novel. Are you sitting down? It's called The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, Vietnamese-American writer, I'm assuming, and the female protagonist is on the autism spectrum, I believe, and she's looking for sex training because she doesn't really like sex, but she wants to at least get better at it. That's the premise of it. I have read the first 2 chapters. I think there's a 75% chance I'm going to bail, but I can see the appeal of it. I'm going to finish the first, I think we're checking in on the first 5 chapters, first 4 or 5 chapters in a couple days. I will read those chapters, but I may not go beyond that. But give me a shovel full of credit for at least trying it. And then, this is not any kind of a bail announcement, but I did read the first couple pages, or maybe the first chapter of Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. And you know what? I thought the writing was very fine, and I was interested in the story, and I just thought, maybe not right now. I've read 2 for Memento Moriathon, and I do want to get to this, but maybe later this year. I just thought, it's interesting, but maybe a little heavy and very macho, and I think I don't need to read this right now. So I put that down, but not forever. And I picked up one that I haven't even hauled yet in a haul video. This is a brand new release, The Mountains Sing, oh no, by a Vietnamese-American writer. I think she's Vietnamese-American, but I definitely need to get help.
Nguyễn Phan Quế Mai.
Nguyen Phan Quế Mai. Just came out a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I got a copy right away, and I decided that I wanted to try this. So I'm doing it as an audio-text combo. And I may give up on the audio because it didn't wow me, but I also wasn't wowed by the first chapter. I didn't really like the writing, actually, but I'm not going to give up so soon. It was a Vietnam War scene narrated through the eyes of a child, and that often doesn't work for me, but I thought it a bit overly flowery and a little bit of adjectival and adverbial diarrhea happening, but I didn't hate it. So I'm going to read a bit more, but my expectations are significantly lowered based on the first 10 pages. Yes, so that's what I've started, and I have 3 buddy reads starting in the next week. Oh, maybe the third one. I will save the third one, because no, it's not starting until the 20th, and today's the 10th. So I have 2 buddy reads starting this week. One of them is for Aussie April, a buddy read with Juan of Bookish Islander, Tim Winton's Cloud Street, and I was talking with Greg on Voxer, and I think he's doing a buddy read of this with Sarah of Hardcover Hearts. We could have an orgy of a buddy read, but no, I don't actually like group buddy reads. One at a time. I read one of his other novel about surfing or whatever, Breath, I think, and this will be my second. It's a chunkster. Juan has kindly agreed to go slow with this buddy read because, I don't know about how my concentration will be, but I'm very much looking forward to it, starting it next Wednesday. Also next Wednesday, with Heidi of My Reading Life, I will be starting a buddy read of Pat Barker's Regeneration, the first volume of her Regeneration trilogy, World War I novels. I have been wanting to read that trilogy, I think it's a trilogy, for years and years and years, and this will fulfill my war novel bingo square for Memento Moriathon, and very much looking forward to starting that. The third one with Greg of Supposedly Fun, I'll keep you in suspense until next week, because it doesn't start until the 20th. So that's what I've got coming up, and that is more than enough. I am just irate, like I'm beside myself with rage at how stupid the government is here. There's just a sense of unreality here that's making me mental. I am able to step out of that fog of rage and enjoy reading more and more, and that's how I'm surviving. That's what I got. I hope you're doing as well as can be expected. Unfortunately, there will be no kissing this week either, but please read. You could do remote kissing. If anybody wants to send me a remote kiss, I'm all lips. Thanks for watching.